Hello everyone. I'm going to go ahead and get started on the bobbin for the coil, and our first step is to make our ends. So we have two ends on the coil, and to show you what we're ending up with here is this coil here, and what we're going to make here is these two clear plastic ends. First step is going to be to cut this interior circle here, and that's going to be done with the Forstner bit. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that just now. And when you're cutting through plastic with the Forstner bit, you'll notice that I have a clamp here. And that's to make sure that it stays in center. And you just take it real slow and go through the plastic. Then when you hit your baseboard, I just take it through just a little bit. You can see how it augured out the hole just slightly. And this hole right here means that it's a very flush, clean-cut hole all the way through. You want to set your speed so that you're going to get these little kind of curly-Q filings coming up off of your plastic. Okay, and that shows that you're actually cutting the plastic rather than burning a hole through the plastic. Now, the hole saw I've used several times. These type of hole saws will eventually get dull, so you're going to have to change this out quite often. But it's just a standard hole saw center bit, and we'll just go ahead and get this installed in here. And we use our chuck key, make sure that we're tight. A good rule of thumb on a chuck, because some chucks are different as far as their teeth goes. They have 3 holes on there. Tighten the chuck in all 3 holes when you're using it. And check it to make sure that we're pretty centered. And if we're off center, then we've got to check where we're actually setting on our drill bit and make sure that we're good. And this one's good. Okay, so then we're just going to go through our material. And because it's clamped, we know that we haven't moved anything. And so it's going to be an exact circle. And you just take it real slow through until you hit the bottom, and then you'll turn off the drill bit. And I'll show you here. Okay, so there you can see it right there. And I didn't actually drill through quite all the way through, and that's fine. To get this out, you'll just pop it out like that. Okay, so now we have our 2 pieces. So we have our first one, and we have our second one. So we've got our 2 pieces, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, our next step is going to be to take some sandpaper and sand these round. And I'm going to show you all this a little bit later, but what I've done is I have attached our 2 discs in an arbor that I'm going to use the drill press to turn these round, because a lot of people don't have lathes and things like that, but you can use a drill press in the same way. It's going to be a little bit loud while I show you a couple of steps. I'm going to use some sandpaper. We're also going to use a heavy rasp file just to take them down just a little bit to clean them up. Always make sure to wear your safety goggles and hearing protection as well. And then all you're going to do is just take the file and go with the direction. And that's going to smooth up our edges. And I'll just slow this down a little bit so you can see our edges are almost filed flat now. You'll notice that I'm moving the file towards and away from the center just a little bit, and that'll help utilize the length of the file. Okay, we've just finished our filing technique here, and I'm going to use a pair of calipers. As you can see, they're zeroed out. I have them set for inches, and I want our overall diameter to be about 1.5 inches. And right now it's 1.545. And so we need to take a little bit more off. And that's fine because we're going to do some fine-tuning on the sanding. And how we're going to do that is very simple. We're just going to take a bit of sandpaper, double it over a couple of times so it adds some rigidity to it. And keep in mind that our drill press is rotating this way, so we're going to want to hold our sandpaper at this side so that it pulls away from you rather than pushing into your hand. I'll go ahead and show you that now. And so as you can see, that sands them off and makes them really nice. And keep going down in your sandpaper until you reach a point where it's starting to polish, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so our next step is to use the fine sandpaper and go ahead and sand it in the same way. Now your sandpaper should never get hot, and you shouldn't feel much resistance. If your sandpaper starts to get warm, then it's too warm for the plastic. Just stop for a minute and let it cool down, and then you can continue sanding. Okay? And as you can see here, we're starting to achieve a nice polished edge here, and they're extremely round. They're almost identically round. And then if we check our dimensions here, we're right at 1.53, which after we do our polishing, we'll take them right down to the 5.0 that we're looking for. Okay, and our final step, so that we can bring these to a nice polished edge, what I've found that works really good is a Scotch-Brite pad. I'm sure you use these on your cookware and things. They're really, really excellent for polishing this edge, and I'll show you that now. We're going to do it in the same manner, but what I do is I slightly round it, and I just hold it on the surface, and I just kind of move it up and down just slightly. Just so it doesn't overheat. And you're putting just a little bit of tension on it, and it'll pull up and down. And then as you can see on our edge here, it's nice and polished now. There's no rough edges. It's very, very polished. And we can continue to do that until we have a really high luster if you'd like, or we can leave it at that point. Okay, I wanted to show you the arbor that I have here. It just consists of a bolt, and it can be any bolt. I bored it out and put a center bore in it so that it would fit inside the drill press. And you can do that, just drill it with a drill bit and then set another bolt inside of it, and then make sure that it'll fit inside your drill press if your bolt is too large for your drill press. And then I have a nut that's on here to create the pressure. So the nut's pretty simple, just a regular nut. I have a compression ring that's on there. You can use washers if you'd like. And then this bolt is the exact diameter of our interior. And what I do is I leave the plastic on it just to protect it. And that way, once we get it all done and we pull these apart, you'll notice it's a nice finished edge, and everything is nicely polished on our edges, and they're perfectly round to our center, which is really good when we're spinning the coils. Not that we're going very fast, but we like to have a nice, clean, finished product.